knowing that the defense, but the Clips wasn't set, able to drop it into Atlanta for easy two.
George, strong drive, back to the basket, lays it up and in. 21 for Paul George. George was 7 to shoot for the Clippers, drives in on Bullock. He goes in. Hello, nasty!
Those were cash in the first 4 games.
George on the pull-up, nails a three.
Fearless. Here's Paul George now back in the game at the 7:32 mark. He goes to work in the paint, fakes a pass, spins, corkscrews, and hits a fadeaway jumper.
Kept the set, the blaze.
Anyway, I'm not going to put this guy in position to get hurt moving forward.
They still got another all-star out there in Paul George. Batum got it.
They ranked 29th in the league in three-point percentage. Paul George, a little mid-range of 7 on the three-point line. George for 3. Oh, he knocked it down. Paul George with a dust.
He's still only 25 in his fifth season.
Break it off.
Oh, no. And the foul.
Oh, no.
That's not fair either.
Hold up.
Paul George broke it on.
Ever since. Lead cut down to 8. George in attack mode to the rim. A graceful glide. And
They're starting 5 on the floor. They've led by as many as.
Phoenix has a foul to give. George drives, goes inside for the slam. After an emotional and tough series against Utah from Friday night to Sunday.
And that is just one of 8 from beyond the arc. It kind of has been that way the last few games.
Paul George.
Paul George. Head down, shoulders leaning, right to the cup for the
putback.
George. Soft Porzingis.
PG checks the rear view. Long strides, chops his steps into the lane. The 1-2, count it, and the foul.
Knows what we're emphasizing, so it hasn't been too big of a challenge. Now, in 3 games since his return, the average
to the traditional center, and then we'll see more of LeBron and at times, of course, AD at that spot. So just expect Dwight.
Here come the Clippers the other way. George, pedal to the metal, tied up, finish it.
Clippers, there'll be no shot blocking at the rim. George, jumper, got it! Paul George.
Pace up.
George down the lane, look out!
There you go.
George
there you go.
Inside. Second basket. George saunters down the lane. 3-point line. Clippers creeping back into it. George from the line to the lane to the rim. Oh! Takes it to the house and makes a little noise.
The Wizards look like they're in that matchup 2-3 zone right now.
It's Paul George getting to the.
Got to get on transition and run. He did it earlier, but you need more of it.
George frees himself up. Paul George was trying to get that ball.
Here is George as he.
Clippers have the ball. George driving past Bam. Paul George
Battling inside. Just out-jumped Zubac there.
all 7 of his field goals in the paint. That will count.
It's a 4-point lead for the Spurs. George, reorganizing in mid.
Clipper defense, but we got a long way to go till we get to that
Ball reversed to the other side of the floor. They played 2-on-2 on one side.
as well. Well, you know why he's so smart, right? I mean, he's highly intelligent, like Paul George right there with that jump shot.
It's not yet the enemy, but it's getting there. George down the lane to the rim.
Years at Florida State, the former Seminole. Paul George is in very deep. Reverse layup is good for Paul George.
Next level defender that the Clippers don't have. Should be more opportunities to attack.
Splitting defender.
Paul George, go-to guy. Spin on Reeves, impossible.
Brooke. That's 4 by the Lakers. Here's Paul George, 6 points so far. Make it 8.
For that screen. You can't catch up and get back into the picture.
Paul George, pull-up jumper, got it.
Happy for that young man.
George has got a little one-on-one, pulls it back, and buries it. Paul George.
7 points. Clippers are down by 6. George, can he do it again? Yes, sir!
40% shooting for the Clippers inside, forcing it into Clipper run. Making it now, approaching 6 to play.
12-point Blazer lead. Paul George trying to get it off. Does for 3. Yes, and a whistle. Score for them in game 1. It'll be Paul George.
Bulls just 4 of 14 here in the 3rd quarter, so the defense has a say. Get in there, count. George
Tough shot. Leonard on the floor for LA. George, big finish and the foul.
And he'll just go into it with the utmost confidence.
12-4 Sacramento run. George with me. George going 2 for 1. The three.
Oh my goodness!
To stop. Down 5. Keegan guarding George. George spinning. Layup.
A 1-point lead. Here come the Clippers. George muscling in on Highsmith and the foul.
Carolina, that looked like a four-corner stall. And look out. It's Leonard.
He's signaling to the referees. George off the pick into the lane, the Euro step, and
on far side to George. Late on the clock. Step away 3. Wow. Paul George knocked it.
But he hasn't been on the floor in a game since the 22nd of December. How about that?
4 on the 24. Paul George from long to 9:12 to play. Paul George disappears.
Come playoff time.
And Bird, they were 17-3 in 20 games.
George drives into traffic, pulls up, shot's good. George, who scored some points as well. Little step back 3, and George. Hornets down 10. Paul George, a step back 3. Oh, goodness. Without the mask. George looking to draw a foul, drills it. George tries to play a two-man game. Who calls his own number. Paul George leads the way with a dozen for 3. Paul George leads the way with 15 on a perfect.
George once again, Bogdanovich. Step back 3, splash for Paul George. He is down by 5. They're just joining us. Kawhi Leonard on the bench with 2 quick fouls. George launching butter.
Figured out the last game that Zubac was in foul trouble, and he just got uber aggressive.
Paul George figure this thing out and kind of get some stabilization.
George on the wing for 3. Damian Lillard on George. He goes to work. He spins twice. He is fouled and 1. George with a screen from Patterson. Flings a 3, and it is all systems.
KZ guarding Paul George. George, step back. Oh. Paul George makes his move behind the back. Pulls up jumper. It's good.
Recognizing we've got to play earlier in the shot clock.
Paul. George. Paul George, the Clippers lead. George, step back 3, put it in.
early, make Paul George see bodies.
George crosses, sweeps it right back to Larry Nance. Drives on McDermott, stops on a dime. He's the mid-range of the season against the Knicks the other day. George, a step away. It's good. The first bucket for Paul George.
Oh, what?
Paul George off the man screen. George working against Buddy Hield. And Paul George scored.
None of that's going to matter, though, if they can't get stops on this end.
That's a tough shot, Paul George.
Bridges brings it back out. George over Bridges. Another.
The fact that they got a defensive stop and an attack in transition creates a good look in Paul.
Clippers looking for the lead. George puts it up out the window. It's good. Are you kidding me? Paul George with 20.
Quickly doubled in that corner. Shot clock at 6. 7-2 run here by the Clippers
in the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. George.
Oh, book it for Paul George. Six Payne gets inside. Layup blocked by Zubac. George comes the other way. Here comes Paul George. Gets inside. Layup. Beat back.
Players in the league on and off the floor. George back in the game, making an entrance to the rim. Oh, and gets the bounce. They're in perfect position to get it. Back to Paul. Gallops into the lane. Sneaks to the hole and scoops and scores on it. Played on 3 teams the last 3 seasons. George, a step back, foul circle jumper. It is good.
I just took some cash. And that's cash right there.